Greetings and salutations, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory, your friendly neighborhood armchair philosopher. Today won't really be armchair philosophy. This is more or less my love of things of the 1980s. Now, I was born in the year 1980, and I really liked what I grew up with. So, the year was 1987. Now, during this year, a couple of things happened. The Fox television network was getting its foot off the ground with shows such as Tracy Ullman, which would introduce The Simpsons. They started off as a short, like a sketch on the Tracy Ullman show, and then they evolved into their own series. But that's neither here nor there. But Fox had a weekend that they showed shows such as the Tracy Ullman show, The Adventures of Beans Baxter, which I really liked that show back in the day, and Married with Children got its start on this show back in 1987, or this network on 1987. Fox, in my part of town, I'm from St. Louis, Channel 30 was not an affiliate of ABC. It wasn't anyone's affiliate. It was just a TV station that was local, and it played a lot of syndicated TV. And anyway, this video isn't about Channel 30, but I just wanted to give you a little flavor, a little context. So this was the era of first-run syndicated shows. Now, this was the year that a show called Star Trek: The Next Generation would first air. This is where we get our first look at Dr. Crusher, Captain Picard, the new Enterprise, Data, Worf, a Klingon on the bridge, and Deanna Troi and William Riker. You get the idea. Well, there was another show that came out that same year. It was known as Friday the 13th, the series. Now, I didn't see this show in its first season, but I've gone back and watched the show. And anyway, Friday the 13th, the series had nothing to do with the Jason Voorhees killer from the Friday the 13th film franchise. Even though there were a lot of people behind the scenes on Friday the 13th, the series, that worked on the Friday the 13th movies with Jason Voorhees. But anyway, the premise of Friday the 13th, the series, was basically there was an antique dealer by the name of Louis Vendredi. He makes a pact with the devil to sell cursed antiques. He breaks the agreement, and the devil takes his soul as payment. So the premise of the show is that there's a guy by the name of Ryan Dallion, and there's a woman by the name of Mickey Foster. They're distant cousins. They inherit this antique store. They don't know that the items are cursed, so they start selling off the antiques, and they plan on selling the real estate, splitting up the money, going their separate ways. And anyway, they meet a guy named Jack Marshak, and Jack Marshak was an old associate of Louis Vendredi. And through Jack, they kind of find out that Louis Vendredi was into like black magic. He was into devil worship, and basically all these antiques are cursed. So the premise of the show every week is a cursed antique gets out, and that cursed antique, it gives whoever possesses the antique item, what have you, power, or it gives them riches or wealth or love or fame or whatever. But in order for the cursed object to work, the curse always requires a sacrifice. And of course, now Mickey, Ryan, and Jack are investigating these things. So anyway, what I'm going to hold up for you is I have Season 1 of Friday the 13th, the series. I have Season 2 of Friday the 13th, the series. And I have the final season, Season 3. Now, this series, from what I've heard of other internet videos, they've said that they were pushing the envelope back in the day on this. And I remember the night I first saw this series. It was maybe, I was in elementary school, TV was on a Saturday night, and I watched a show called Freddy's Nightmares. That was another show that came on right around this time. In the 80s, you know, A Nightmare on Elm Street was very popular. You had Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, and he reprised his role for the TV series. Now, in the TV series, he was more of a narrator character. He was more of like an Alfred Hitchcock. You know, he was more like a Alfred Hitchcock narrator character. You know, he wasn't a, what's the word I'm looking for? He wasn't a main part of the action. But anyway, I really liked the show. And then right after they would air Freddy's Nightmares, and Nightmare on Elm Street, the series, they would air Friday the 13th, the series. And as I got older, I find that even though the effects on this show are dated, I really like Friday the 13th, the series. I love the person gets the cursed object who's down on their luck. It changes their luck, but then they go and do horrible things and it makes a horrible left turn, which I think is a lesson about, one, you never get, there's no such thing as a free ride. There's always a trade-off. So people forget that. So like some of the episodes I really liked in there, one was an episode where it was a cursed golden compact mirror. And if you shone the light of the mirror in the person's face, you would make them fall in love with you. And there was this really ugly girl that was getting picked on by the boys at her school. So she started using the golden compact to make boys fall in love with her. But then these boys would turn up mysteriously dead. There was an episode where you had a faith healer with a magical, like, cursed glove. And he was a televangelist. And he could heal people. But what would happen is the glove would take the disease out of the person. And then the wearer of the glove would have to transfer the disease to someone else before they would die of the disease. And he would just touch them with the glove. That was a good one. I think it was called Faith Healer. There was one episode of a cursed pool stick where you killed somebody with this cursed pool cue and your pool game would be improved. And the story basically was you had a woman who was dating a guy who was kind of like a pool shark, and he was using the cursed object. But it was a cool show. The show is very film noir. It has those elements of mystery and the ambiance, the atmosphere is very creepy and scary. But I loved that series growing up, and it takes me back to those first run syndicated TV days. But oh yeah, another thing. There was an actor in there, the actor that played the Ryan Dalian character, John D. LeMay. John D. LeMay was he was in the Jason Goes to Hell movie. And I know that Friday the 13th, a lot of Friday the 13th fans really hate that movie. So I think I saw it once and I was shocked when the Freddy Krueger hand came out the grave and pulled the Jason mask down. So that was a nice little crossover before we got Jason versus Freddy. But I really loved this series, and watching it again just brought back all those childhood memories of my mom letting us stay up late on Saturday night to watch this. But again, and I forgot how attractive Roby, the woman who played Mickey Foster, was. She was a looker, and the 80s definitely had that big hair. But I really like this series. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Keep in mind it's dated, so some of the special effects don't age well, but the storytelling is on point with this series. I really liked it. Pretty much that's how it goes. But yeah, oh yeah, and during the beginning of the third season, Ryan Dalian's character is out, and a new character that got introduced in the second season, I think his name is, I think the actor's is Stephen Monarch or Monarche or something like that. But anyway, he's Johnny, and Johnny kind of comes in with the cast. But the show ended in 1990, so right when I'm turning 10. Show ends. They didn't get a final episode because the show got canceled. So the seasons are shorter on the third season. But that's just my 2 cents on Friday the 13th, the series. It's one of those things that I grew up in the 80s like with. And it was on a little local TV station called KPLR 11 here in St. Louis, which ended up being home to the WB, then the CW, which is now, you know, running stuff. But back in the day, there was no WB network. That's how old I am. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. I know I haven't made videos in a while, but I haven't really been feeling inspired. Say goodbye, everybody. All right, there you go. All right, ooh, you're kind of heavy. Ooh, right there, too. All right, anyway. Be easy like Sunday morning. Take care.